Okay, so this is for Swift 218. Check, testing 1, 2, check, testing 1, 2, check. All right, let's start that again. All right, so this is for Swift Programming 2, CSC 218. This is the guided project ApplePie. So we're going to get through this. I'm going to walk you through this as quickly as I can, so it's not an extremely long video. There's a lot to it. Anything I think you are sticking points, I'll let you know. Before we even get started, let's gather our resources. You can get the student resources if you go to page 5. Okay, so we need to gather our resources. And to do that, you go to page 5, right here, and you click on Download Student Materials. It'll bring you to this page here. It'll automatically download it. Say OK. And then I have a folder for CSC 218. I want to save it in there. It's student.zip, right? And I'm going to go to that folder. There it is. You're going to unzip that. All right. And as you see, I've already downloaded it once. So it labeled it Student Resources 2, right? And we're in Chapter 2, so you go there, and then the Guided Project ApplePie, and there are all of your images that you'll use for this. That's all you need. All right. All right, after you have the resources, just head on back to the page we were on. It's Chapter 2. Guided Project ApplePie. All right. So I'm not gonna read this all to you. You're gonna read it. I'm just gonna work through it as fast as I possibly can. All right. Build the interface. First, we're gonna name the project, right? ApplePie. Execute project. Single view app, good, fine, next. Project name, Bivens T Apple Pie. Personal. Apple Pie. PCC. With Storyboard, fine, good, yes, next. And where we want it. That's fine. So once the project loads, you'll see your main storyboard here. All right, so let's move on. Oops. Let's do that again. I didn't choose iPad for the main deployment target. You can always do this up here, so I'm just going to do that. iPad. We'll do the iPad Pro, why not? All right. So layout main storyboard. So you got to figure out how you're going to lay this out, right? Vertical stack, find the vertical stack. All right, so you're going to, so he wants you to look at this. How would you do this, right? You're going to have a vertical stack, so you're going to have this image, then you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Elements inside of that, and inside of those you'll have elements as well, right? So find the vertical stack, view in the object library, and drag it onto the iPad canvas. All right, so we've created this vertical stack view here. Now we're going to constrain it so it covers the entire screen. So we're going to use the add new constraints. There, I think, yes. And then we're going to put 0 on all 4 of those. So you can hit 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, tab. Right. That'll work. Add 4 constraints. Boom. All right. Next. It should look like that. Good. Add constraint to the other one. The line appears around the stack view. Press the update frames. I think we're good. All right. All right, so we need to search the object library for an image view. Right there. And we're going to add one to the stack, I think. There we go. All right. And change the content mode of that to aspect fit, which it is. This ensures the width and height of the image is not distorted by the proportions of the image view. All right, then we're going to add the AppleTree images from the Student Resources folder into your Assets XC Assets folder. There, right? And we're going to switch over here, and here are my trees here. And just take them and I'm drag them in here. Beep, like that. All right, good job. All right, once they've been added, you can go back to the image view with the storyboard and update the image property. Use one of the tree images. So we're just going to go back to storyboard, right? And go to the image view, and we're going to use image here and just add one of them. Tree 0 makes the most sense because it's I guess we could take some off as you go along, so maybe we'll start with that one. All right. Don't think it matters, but if it matters later, we'll fix it. All right, moving on. All right, here comes one of the more complex parts of this building this UI, right? Because there's 5 rows within one vertical stack. So we're going to create a vertical stack below that image view we just created, and then we're going to put 5 horizontal views inside of that, right? So let's do that now. So we're going to start by adding a vertical stack. I'm going to put that right there. There we go. And give the newly added stack view a height of 220. We're going to go. That work? There. Yes, height. There we go. I think that worked. All right. Yes. All right. So you can see that there. All right. Each of the horizontal stack views that you'll add will be equal in size. Select the newly added vertical stack view right here. Right. And then open the attributes inspector here. and change the distribution property fill equally. Fill equally there. Now add a horizontal stack view within the vertical stack. Each of the buttons are equal in size, so select the horizontal stack view and open inspector and distribution fill equally. So inside the stack view here, we're going to add a horizontal stack view right there, right? And we're going to go distribution fill equally, like that. All right, another little complex part here. We're going to create, let's see, each row has 5 buttons, except for the last one has 6, right? So we're going to add a button to the horizontal stack view. Now we're going to select it and we're going to copy it, right, and paste 4 more of those. So you have 5 total, right? So we're going to go in here and find the button, drag the button over to the stack view like that, right? We're going to copy it, Command C, then we're going to paste it 4 times so we have 5 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Now repeat the step until the stack. Use the attributes inspector to update the text of each button to a single capital letter. And so we'll start here, right? And right here, right? So A, B, C, D, and E. All right, so A, B, C, D, and E. That's good. All right, now we're going to select the horizontal stack view and copy to clipboard. All right, so let's just close this. It's the easiest way to do it, I think. And we'll paste a copy of this, and we have 5 horizontal stacks. All right, so we're going to copy that. We're going to paste 3, 4, 5. All right. Let's see. And finally, you need 1 additional button in the last horizontal stack view so that you have 26 buttons total. So go in the last one here and just copy this last one. Copy, paste. Then we have 6 buttons there now. Awesome. All right. Good. Below the grid of buttons, add 2 labels from the object library. Use the attributes inspector to change the alignment of the text to center, then set the font size of the first label to 30 and the second to 20. Add a height constraint of 60 to the first label. All right, there's a bunch of stuff here. All right, so let's take it one step at a time, right? All right, so below the grid of buttons, add 2 labels from the object library. So let's do that. Label. And I'm just going to copy and duplicate that. I think they were in the wrong space. All right. Maybe like that. That doesn't appear to have worked correctly. All right, let's try that again. So, label, let's drag it in here. Maybe it'll work better. Maybe that worked, I think. All right, we'll try it again. One more. guess that worked. All right. No, it's not in the right spot. Nope, that's not it either. That's it. All right. That's pretty problematic there, I think. But you should see it. You should when you put the labels, you should see that they're in this the horizontal stack view, right? With the buttons, but I guess not with the tree. Yes. All right. So there we go. I think that's what they want. All right. So set the font size of the first label to 30. All right, and the second to 20. All right, they should both set the font. Text is centered. Add a height constraint of 60 to the first label. Height constraint of 44. All right, so height constraint of 60 to the first label. Height. Oh, why? All right, so there's some kind of conflict there. I hate this. All right. Let me figure that out. I'll come back. Okay, this is the third or fourth time I've tried this. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of how the UI layout system works. It's a little convoluted and can be confusing. So if you get confused, just realize that I get confused too. So here we go. I'm going to add these two labels. Now I figured out where the labels go. But this constraints, I'm not putting the constraint on the second one, so just a fair warning there. All right, so we got a label. Now this has to go in the stack view with all of the buttons, but not the upper stack view, and that kind of gets hard to do, right? So you collapse that and see that is outside of the buttons. You see that? So you want to drag it in here so it's like that, but then it puts it in the final row, which is not what you want, so it's kind of a pain. It is kind of a pain. It wants to be, yes. So that it should be so that if you collapse this stack view for all the buttons, that it goes away, right? So that's what you want right there, okay? And then we'll just copy that, paste. That's the easy way to do it. Create the second label right below that, right? And then you can center both of them by selecting both of them and just come over here to center, which is what you want. And then we'll change the font size to, what do they say, 30 and 20 respectively, right? So 30. Why can't I type it in? I hate when they make you use the button. All right. All right, so that's 30, and this is going to be 20. All right, so that's fine. Now this is where I ran into problems. I haven't been able to solve it yet, so I don't know. The first one, I do put a constraint. Let's see, height constraint is 60, the first label, and 44 on the second label. When I do the second one, it wants to give me a UI conflict, so we're not going to do that. And if somebody can figure that out, that's fine, but I'm going to go ahead and make it work, right? So the first one I'm going to say 60. And see, it doesn't give me a problem there. But if I come here and say 44, it gives me an issue, right? And I don't know why. So I am going to come in here
and just delete that constraint and hope that it works okay later, because I don't know why it gave me that error. All right. So just be aware that that could happen to you, and if it doesn't, maybe you can figure out why and tell me, right? Because I don't know. All right, so here we go. Next. All right, so we're going to build and run this real quick and see what happens. All right, well, that finally ran. That took about, I don't know, 10 minutes to launch or something. Not sure why. I think I'm going to try another. Maybe the simulator I'm using causes it to take so long, but I need to fix these buttons so that they're all, actually the alphabet. But and so it appears to work like it's supposed to. That's good. All right, and so we'll stop that. I am going to change this to some other, maybe iPad Air 3rd generation. Maybe it will launch quicker. I don't know. Okay, so moving on. All right, so so I need to name all these correctly. All right, so I'll do the first one, then I'm gonna pause it because there's no reason to bore you with renaming all these. So let's do that quickly. All right, so F. G. H. I. J. All right, so I'm gonna pause it and do the rest of them. You don't need to see me do that. All right, so I've created my buttons that are all labeled correctly. So now we're moving on, right? All right, so creating outlets and actions. That is our next step. Okay, so when you're playing the game, when you click a button, right? When you click a button, the letter needs to be disabled, so you can't choose it again. And the tree image needs to be updated for each guess as well, right? So when it's incorrect, right, they add a, I think they take a apple away, right? All right, so to do that, we need to create two outlets so that we can push data to them, right? So we're going to open the assistant editor here. And let's see. So here, look at the view controller in this window. And over here should be the way that works. I'm going to zoom out there. Zoom. 75 maybe. All right. I'm going to have to go back and forth between the book and this. All right, so here we have that. Here we have the book. All right, so open the assistant editor. Let's see. Okay. Next, select the image view on the left and control drag to an area within class definition. And the pop-up that appears, name the outlet tree image view. All right. Control drag. Right. Tree image view. It's an outlet, connect. All right. Next. Repeat this process with the two labels. Name the top label correct word label and the bottom score label. All right, so
here, right? Control correct word label. And one more, score label. Control score label connect. All right, so next. All right. All right, so it'd be very tedious to create a separate outlet for each UI button. Instead, we're going to create one outlet that holds a collection of buttons. Begin by selecting the first button with the letter A as the title. Control drag the class definition to create an outlet, then release the mouse button. Change the connection type from outlet to outlet collection. All right. So we're going to go to A here. Control outlet collection. That's important. Make sure you do that. That is very important. And we're going to call it letter buttons. All right, connect. All right, did that. Okay, so each of these buttons needs to be tied to that that outlet. So we're going to have to, this is a little bit tedious, but you got to do it. So we have to control drag from each button to that outlet, right? So we're going to do that now. So actually go from the outlet to the, yeah, from the outlet to the button. All right, so let's do that now. So the letter button here, right? So we're going to control, what? All right, actually you don't have the control drag. All right, there we go. All right. All right, so you just drag from that apparently, so that's good. You don't even have to hold control as long as you're on that plus. That apparently adds it to it. Yep. All right, so let's do that for each one of these. All right, now as you do it, if you hover over the plus, you see which ones you've done, right? So that's pretty helpful. And we're just going to do this. I'm going to pause it and do the rest of them. Okay, so I finished that. If I hover over the outlet, you can see that all of my buttons have connections to them now. All right, good job. All right, so that's the outlet. So that will be able to disable the buttons once there's an incorrect guess or a guess at all, right? We also need an action, right? When we click the button, it's got to do something, right? So each button has to be tied to an action. Again, it would be tedious to create a separate outlet for each button. Instead, you create one action that all of buttons call when pressed. Begin by selecting the first button with the letter A as the title. Control drag to the class definition. Release the mouse button. And the pop-up that appears change connection type to action. All right, so we're going to take, go to A here, like that. Control drag over here. Boom. It's going to be an action this time, though, and we're going to call this, what did we say? Button pressed, right? Button pressed. And change the type of argument to UI button. So this is important. UI button, there we go. Why do we do this? Since there are 26 buttons connected to the same action, you'll need to use the sender to determine which button specifically triggered the method. If sender has any type, you can't access the title property, right? So the title of the button will be pulled in so that we can tell which button was pressed. So that's why we got to do the type UI button. All right, so we say connect, and then we have this blank function now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save that. All right, so we have to, yep, button tapped. that's an error, right? See, he calls the button pressed up here, and then here's button tapped. That's curious. Anyway, that's an error, but I called it button press. It doesn't matter which one you use as long as you are consistent. All right, so we're going to come over here and say, let's see, sender dot is enabled equals false. Sender. Why is it not? Why is it not? There we go. Equals false. All right. Control drag. All right, so control drag the rest of the buttons to the existing action. You'll know the connection is valid because a blue rectangle will appear as you hover the mouse near the method. Build it. All right, so now we got to do this 25 more times. I'll do a few of them, then pause it, and then come back. All right. So we'll start with B. All right, control drag to the action. All right. And then C, control drag to the action like that. And now I want to pause it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm just finishing up this last row here. Almost done. Of course, the last one does some weird thing. I think the mouse got stuck under my keyboard. All right. Now, check it, look, and see they're all blue. When I hold over that, means they're all connected to that action. That is a good thing. All right, let's see. I think we're about ready to test it again. All right, so build and run your application to verify that tapping each button disables it. It'll be more apparent what else to do inside this method after you build other portions of the app. All right, so now I'm going to test that. I'm going to pause while it launches because it seems to take forever. So I'll be all right, so here we go. Let's check it all out. It should disable them. Yes, see. As you click, the buttons get disabled. That's what we want. Good to go. Good to go right there. Awesome. I think I'm going to make this a separate video because this, to me, this was the most tedious part of it, creating this UI, right? So this is going to be a separate video, and I'm going to make the others like part 2. All right.